Hey, I'm Butterfly.
Hey, I'm Firefly.
Have you ever wondered if we aren't being told the truth about everything?
What have we been lied to about? Join us as we have conversations and ask questions about everything. We invite you to keep an open mind and consider the unfathomable.
Let's break the chains that enslave our minds. Come on, let's go down the rabbit hole.
What's up, Butterfly?
Hey, Firefly, what's going on?
How are you?
I'm good. How are
I'm
you?
so stoked. I am ready to go down another rabbit hole with you.
I'm always ready to go down a rabbit hole with you.
This one's kind of a rabbit hole, but it's also kind of like a maybe like a question.
I know. Well,
I
actually,
guess a rabbit hole kind of is a question,
I
right?
know. Most of our rabbit holes are questions because basically that's what we're doing.
Well, they don't tell us the truth,
No, we're
so it's
just,
not like we know.
yeah, we're just here asking questions, really.
We're treated
Yeah.
like mushrooms. We're kept in the dark, fed a bunch of doo doo.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to like put the tea leaves together.
We're just trying to maybe connect some dots and asking a lot of questions. And maybe in the process, we can come up with some answers. Who knows?
So like I was thinking like they,
Yeah, they.
the cult
Mm-hmm.
that we kind of call them, I think I'm starting to kind of see what they want.
Mm-hmm.
They want a global communist prison.
They kind of hate America.
And America's kind of in the way of that
Mm-hmm.
because if everybody's in a prison, they can just start exterminating us, which is
Mm-hmm.
what they want to do,
And controlling us.
and controlling us.
So, like their 15-minute city idea that they keep talking about,
Yeah.
um, I think that's like, in other words, that's basically just a prison.
Like, am I going to have my constitutional rights still when I live in a 15-minute city? Probably not.
Probably not. You're probably going to have like an electric vehicle that will only like travel 10 minutes outside of your city region. And if that, if you're lucky enough to have that, and
You know what it
you
probably
know,
will be? I think China's probably like the model. They'll be
yeah.
like, look at the great work we've done here in China with enslaving people. We'll have them living in huge apartment complexes, and we can just remember like during the cooties.
Yeah,
Remember how like there was people like bolted into their apartments in China?
I
It's like, I'm
know.
sorry, but we're welding you in. You may not. It's like, whoa.
Totally.
That's I think what they want
But they
us.
have AC.
You have AC, but you may not leave. We're gonna weld the door
You
so you
might
can't leave.
starve to death in your
I
apartment.
think I would still find a way to get out.
Yeah,
I would still,
scratch at the window or
I'd like go to the first floor and like jump out of the dude's like balcony.
I don't think they have like fire escapes there either. It's kind of
No.
gnarly.
Well, that was one of the things that happened. Like a bunch of people like died in a fire, and like they're like,
Yeah.
"Sorry, we can't rescue you. You're bolted in, so you're gonna have to die."
But sometimes I'm like thinking, okay, do you think that was true too? We don't know. Because they were showing us
That could have been the narrative.
they were showing us videos of like people dropping dead on in the gutters and stuff.
Freaking out, like
Because the cooties was just like
they're having like
they were like dropping dead, like they had Marburg or something, and they
yeah, they're having like seizures, like grand
zombies.
mal seizures and stuff like on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't remember anybody that I saw get COVID like have a grand mal seizure on the ground. Maybe after they took maybe after they
Yeah,
took the stabbies, they
that
might have that.
that was one of the things that made me start questioning too, because like I when they were showing us all these people just dropping like flies in the gutter, and that didn't happen here where we live.
No,
And
there was kind of like maybe a little bit of a scare factor
yeah,
there.
everybody was still told you gotta wear masks, and everybody's germy and stuff. But when I was driving down the street, all those homeless people, they were still there.
They
They
didn't
weren't they
die.
weren't dropping like
They
flies.
didn't. None of them had like grand mal seizures while they're asking me for $1. They're just like, I'm still here. Plus, the other thing I notice is what's like the predicate for MK Ultra? Like they gotta traumatize you first.
Right.
They go, here, we're gonna torture you with like some trauma.
Yeah.
And
So we're gonna
then
show you a bunch of people dropping dead in the streets.
yeah, because then like what happens with like the walkers when you show them something scary,
Yeah.
they go, protect me, daddy. Protect me, daddy. What do I need to do?
Yeah.
And then daddy goes, don't worry. Because that's kind of what they do. They create the problem and then they have the solution. And the solution's kind of the gnarly thing.
Yeah. The solution is shut up and do what we tell you.
Shut up. That's always the solution. The
That's
first
that's
wait,
step number one. Shut up.
shut up.
Don't ask any
As a matter of
questions.
fact, if you just shut up,
Don't.
we don't even have to go forward from there. We'll take care of everything else. But fucking like, shut up. That's another thing they hate about America.
Yeah,
Because what's like
because
the First Amendment?
a lot of people don't want to shut up.
Well, yeah,
That's
like
our First Amendment right.
yeah, like my whole life I've grown up being told, like, I might not like what you have to say, but you have the right to say it.
Right.
That
Sticks and
was even
stones.
yeah, that was like even in academia,
Hmm.
which is a cult. They were
Yeah.
like even telling you, but you have freedom of speech.
But now it seems like they're sort of trying to unravel that. They want to get rid of they
Yeah,
want our speech to be free-ish.
it's
Free-ish
free-ish speech.
speech.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's free for them. Have you noticed like
Well, it's free if you, as long as you're not saying something they don't like.
like
Right.
there was this like Democrat woman at the office that I worked at last time,
Uh-huh.
and the gay dude, and
Mm.
they were both like early 50s, right? And because they knew they were both just like CNN, MSNBC, so they could like across the entire office,
uh,
like talk about politics
like regurgitate what
and
they.
just spew their worldview.
Yeah.
And that's okay because we're whatever,
Yeah.
But like, what if I like started saying, stuff? And I'd get fired probably.
Saying
Like
this
probably
kind of stuff.
anything. Like I'm not even allowed to like participate in
Yeah.
those
You can't
conversations.
participate in the conversation.
Because if I tell you like what I think about what you just said, I'm probably gonna get like fired,
Maybe arrested.
maybe even that's violence. That's like the new thing.
That's white supremacy.
Have you noticed
That's
like
racist.
have you heard this new blue pill, like this new Kool-Aid that says your words are violence.
Oh, right.
You're
Yeah.
being violent right now.
Yeah. By
It's
talking.
like by talking. You're saying words, but your words are actually beating me up. So they don't like that.
They don't like it.
The other thing I don't really like is like Americans being able to go buy a gun,
I know.
which is a little disconcerting. Like you go down to Florida and you see some white trash and you go, do I really want that dude packing? But you know what? Yeah, I do for the principle of it.
They can pack in Nevada too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can walk around
I think
packing.
there's a few, I like Wyoming too. I think there's a few states where people can walk around packing heat.
And I bet you crime statistics are really low there.
That's interesting. We should we should research that. I bet you're right. I bet you're
Because,
right.
like you're gonna think twice about like doing something stupid if you know that like
That
that dude
person.
right there is packing.
Right.
Like they'll take you out.
Yeah.
That's kind of gnarly.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, like if you're the cult, and you just want everybody get in your 15-minute cities and die, which is pretty much their like slogan.
Right.
Get in your 15 minutes cities and die.
It's not you'll own nothing and be happy. It's can you
No,
shut up, get your 50
shut up. That's number one.
die.
Like in the
Hurry up
Denver
and die.
airport, they should have new posters and just says "Shut up." Like as you're walking to your gate,
They're gonna tear down all those you'll own nothing and be happy. Now it's just shut up.
that dude that was smiling with the beard that was going, "You'll own nothing and happy." Now he's just like, "Oh, shut up."
Totally.
That's the new messaging.
Yeah.
That's the messaging coming out of the EU with like Germany.
I
Remember
know.
that one guy?
Yeah, he was like, free speech has its limits.
Yeah. Well, okay.
It's free-ish.
So I think that's kind of the new messaging. It's like, ixnay on the free speech nay.
Right.
You don't have free speech.
No.
You can say stuff as long as we agree,
Hmm.
but we curate your speech. That's like Tim Cook.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gay and I curate your speech.
They like to curate our thoughts too.
And
That's what
curating it.
That's what they think they're doing.
Like what happens with a curator? He's like, why don't we get rid of those books and we'll just put these books here? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of what like
So your choice is the choice we've made for you.
yeah. You don't think those thoughts. You think these thoughts. That's kind of I think what they want to do.
Exactly. So yeah, and the problem is, so they hate America because of our constitution and our rights, basically.
Yeah.
They want us to be prisoners.
There's another aspect of America they really hate too.
What?
Decentralization.
Totally.
They hate that.
Yeah, because it means that they don't have complete global control.
Yeah. Like the sheriff has a lot of power
Hmm.
in a county.
Right.
They don't like
They
that.
don't like that. They want to have power over everything.
And have you noticed that's kind of like their move now? It's kind of like 1984. Remember we talked about like there's Oceania and Asiana.
Right.
And it's like, wait a second, those are
What
like
are those?
huge continents.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what where is now.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of like are moving like, like Trump is going, well,
We're
what you
going to
gonna
take Greenland, Canada, Mexico.
Yeah.
We're all going to be one.
What does that
We'll
mean?
just be a continent.
Because that's that much closer to like one office just sitting over the entire world. I wonder where the head office, like, where's the corporate office going to be when it's one global big blech? I bet it's going to be Israel.
Oh God.
They're,
Without a doubt.
they're going to have it there.
Without a
They'll be like,
doubt.
and it won't be like you're going to see the president. It's like you're going to see the CEO. You know,
And
you
Trump
can get fired.
Trump will be organizing. He'll have like his TV show will be back on the air.
Trump will be like the chief business officer
Hmm.
of the
He is
company.
a good businessman,
Yeah,
from
so
what I
he's there.
see.
He's there spewing the Kool-Aid,
Mm,
right? He's serving the Kool-Aid.
yeah,
And
he might be the CFO or
yeah,
the COO. He'll
well,
be
you know what?
something.
You know what he's kind of done is he said, okay, yeah, the Globe is a big corporation, and we're the CEOs. But what we've kind of done is created like an apprentice style reality show, and
Yes.
that's what we all live in. And you can get voted off, and it's pretty bad if you do.
Yeah,
So that I think that's kind of what's going on.
totally. So if you don't follow the rules, you'll get voted off.
You
And
gotta follow the
what
rules.
does voted off mean?
Cancel.
Canceled.
You can't do
You're
anything.
forced to shut up.
Like, remember the girl in the Black Mirror episode?
Right.
The downward spiral that she goes on because she's about to get canceled. And
Mm.
it's pretty gnarly. Like, she looks like getting canceled is probably not going to be cool.
She's trying to do anything to not be canceled.
I think I got canceled. I think I got canceled a long time ago.
Yeah, I've been canceled, but
You know what it
we're working
is
our way around it.
like I always use that analogy. I got voted off of Pleasure Island, so now I'm kind of naked and afraid. But at least I'm not playing that game
I know,
because, well, I think playing the game is walkers.
totally.
Walkers are playing the game.
Yeah,
They're in the reality show.
but they like it.
They like
So
it.
so it's like, okay, so they hate America because they don't like how they don't have total control. But what has happened is they have trained their followers, which are all the walkers, to then hate America. Have you
Mhm.
ever noticed how like a lot of like the younger generation, like they think like the American flag is like a bad thing?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of like so-called liberals, I don't even know what that means anymore.
We're
They hate
racist and bad.
Yeah, they think the American flag is bad. It's like, okay, that's the flag of the country that you've chosen to live in. Like, if you think that's such a bad symbol, why are you living here?
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
And I've asked people that, and they go, no, I'm here to change it. It's like, oh, okay. So you want to change into a communist system?
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't want you to do it.
They're actually, I mean, I remember like when we were kids, communism was like a bad, scary word. It was like,
Even dumb people knew it was
yeah,
bad.
like you don't want to be in communism. You know, like we knew that was bad. Like only like scary countries that
Well,
had
you know why? Because
prisoners.
it was kind of hard for even the cult to push communism as a good thing. Because where did it work good? Where could they
No,
point to like
nowhere.
evidence like, wow, communism really flourished here?
Yeah, they could point to China where the people were only allowed to have one child. Remember,
Child policy.
remember that, and they were like killing all the baby girls
Daughters. Yeah.
because they all wanted boy. Now there's like a big problem that they didn't really like think about at the time. There's
Angry, horny
there's
dudes
too many dudes.
because they're mad.
Yeah,
Because there's
it's like,
no pussy
I mean,
to have sex with.
you could have thought ahead like a little bit about that and realized that could create a problem.
What was the deal with the one child policy? They were like,
They were like, we have too many people, so you can each only have one child.
see, I think that's kind of the predicate of all communism is the scarcity.
Hmm.
Scarcity.
Scarcity.
They want
Yeah.
you scared and they want you in a city because there's scarcity.
Hmm.
There's not enough.
Yeah.
See, I don't buy that.
Right.
I don't buy that there's not enough. I think that there is enough and that they're like trying to like cram you into this idea that there's not
Well,
enough.
it's because the megalomaniacs want more.
Yeah.
So they might think there's not enough because the useless eaters are like actually eating some of the stuff and they just want it all for themselves.
Yeah.
They want everything.
They want it all. And I think you hit the nail on the head in another episode where you're like, it's not even about money for them.
No.
They're just like, I want to tell you what to do.
Hmm.
And it's like, why?
They
I don't really feel the need to go tell people what to do. I
no.
don't have no desire. Like if there's other people around here, I don't want to go up to them and just start micromanaging their
No,
lives.
but have you noticed like this brings me back to our other episode 5 minutes of power. How many
Yeah.
people love that? They love to have their little 5 minutes where
What is that
they can
character
tell
trait?
somebody what to do.
Insecurity. I think it's
It's
insecurity.
insecurity, but it's also like psychopathy.
It's
Like,
kind of psychopathy.
yeah,
It's
it
kind of like, I don't really have any empathy for you.
right. So I'm going to tell you that you need to leave this room or you can't talk on the phone in here.
Yeah.
You can't talk on the phone in here, but all these other people can talk as loud as they want.
Yeah. You got to go outside. And like, they just really love kind of telling you you're fucked. They love doing that.
They love it.
That's
It
like their
gives them,
favorite game.
it gives them, and so I think that is a psychopathic personality trait. Or I mean, we're not talking like psychopathic, like they're going to go out and like kill somebody, but that's definitely a psychopathic
Maybe it's
personality
got
trait.
something to do with the blue pill.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you're on the blue pill, maybe you become numbed to injustice, or
Oh, for sure.
maybe you start to kind of like enjoy hurting people. And
Hmm.
that's kind of the nature of their little, because that's what America has become, is a bunch of little micromanagers and Karens.
Hmm.
And like, have you ever noticed like you constantly have to like jump through hoops?
Totally.
Everything's about jumping through hoops. Like I went to buy weed. Did I tell you about that?
You've told me about that a few times. I'm starting to wonder about that.
I went to buy weed at a new place, right? And the right when you walk in, you get micromanaged.
Oh, yeah.
So like, show me your ID. It's like, okay. And then they go, okay, and then you go get into a line and they got the lines like, you ever been to a place
You mean
where
it's so busy they have lines of people?
not really, it's not that busy, but there's like you go walk through here and stand here to wait.
Like at a
It's like
Disneyland
a big
a
room. Yeah, they have
Disneyland
like
line?
Disneyland
Oh,
lines.
it's
And there's
so weird.
never like, it's
Like
kind of
it's
like the
so
airport
packed.
gate. Think about the airport gate.
Yeah.
They have like a couple of like ropes set up.
Yeah.
But at the airport, you might actually get like 40 people waiting in line for a
Right.
sec.
So this place is like packed with people all the time.
No, like, no. It's corralling
Hmm.
because then, so they corral you.
Uh-huh.
You go talk to the security guard, then they corral you literally, physically. You go walk through here. You don't go wait anywhere else because otherwise, have you ever noticed like if you don't play their little game, it'll like piss off like the millennials run the register. They're
Totally.
like, sir,
Hmm.
yeah, come over here, sir. It's like, no, I kind of mess with them sometimes. I like to not do the micromanaging intentionally
Like
because I'm an American.
anti-micromanage.
I'm an American.
Hmm.
Americans don't like to be micromanaged. That's the part of freedom that I like to be is free.
Yeah. That is reminding me we need to do another episode sometime in the future about how people like us don't like to be, it's hard to organize us because
Yeah.
we don't like to be told what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
So that sometimes is a bad thing.
a lot of people like us have become very skeptical of everybody.
Right.
And so what happens is it's hard to get someone on board.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I notice about people like, I guess you would say like on our side
Mhm.
is they sometimes will have a bone of contention about like one thing that you kind of believe that they don't believe.
Right.
And that'll be like, yeah, no, I'm not interested in anything you have to say ever
Right.
again.
Whereas it seems like the people like on like the so-called other side, um, it's like it kind of seems like they might not all completely agree with like every tiny little thing, but they all sort of agree overall on, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like they're
they
like, oh,
congeal.
yeah.
It's a cult,
And
and they're
because
in it.
they have mainstream media telling them what to do that they follow, they are easily organized. They'll just do exactly what the media tells them to do.
And we've talked kind of Candace Owens' backstory is kind of like that. Remember, she was like kind of in the leftist cult, But then she was like, "Well, I don't know if we have to kill babies that much." And they're like, "Oh, you're out." Because all you have to do is like kind of disagree with a little bit of their orthodoxy and you're out,
Mm-hmm.
right? Our the other cult is kind of like that too. That's what I'm noticing is that's why the whole right left paradigm is a fallacy
Mm-hmm.
because they're both cults and they're both cults controlled by the cult,
Right. The head cold.
the head cult. But the left and the right are cults. And you have to drink their Kool-Aid and have their orthodoxy. That's why you and I and people like you and I, we're not in any of the cults.
Right. And we kind of piss a lot of people off because if they think that we're on their side and then we say like we don't agree with one particular thing,
They get
or
mad.
we're maybe asking questions about like certain people or something, they get really angry and mad.
They're like, "Are you seriously not drinking my Kool-Aid?"
We thought you were drinking the same Kool-Aid as us,
Yeah.
and
And
now
they
you're
kind of
not.
get like,
Now you're not drinking it anymore.
how dare you
Yeah.
not drink my
Did
Kool-Aid?
you decide to go drink the other Kool-Aid?
Yeah.
I actually got asked that once.
Did you go drink other Kool-Aid?
Did you or have you become a other like a blue Kool-Aid drinker?
Yeah.
We thought you were drinking red Kool-Aid.
Yeah. And you're like, well, actually, I stopped drinking Kool-Aid. And they're like, I don't know how to
Yeah, you don't
process
really
that.
drink Kool-Aid
You
at
know what it
all.
reminds me of? Um, I used to have a Yorkie,
Uh-huh.
and
How cute.
we left town for like 10 days. And so we had a guy come in, walk our Yorkie, and feed him
Hmm.
for the 10 days. I didn't know him. I think I found him on Craigslist, right? Well, he lived down the street from us, and I came back and I said, "Hey, thanks so much." And so we were taking the dog for a walk, and he was out in front of his house, and he goes, "Come on in for a beer." And I didn't want it, you know? And he was like, "No, no, no, come on in." And I was like, "No, I'm good. We're gonna go walk the dog." And I was like telling him politely, "No, I don't want to go in right now." And he was like, "Come on in, come on in," like adamant. Like, and I finally had
That's
to
so
go in because I
weird.
felt like it was like becoming like kind of uncomfortable and weird. And
Hmm.
I was thinking, well, like maybe I'll have him like walk our dog in the future. I better just like, but it was like he was like so adamant about me going into his house and seeing his stuff. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And I kind of feel like that's kind of the way some people are with their political views. It's kind of like, I'm very proud of my political views, and you're not coming in to check them out.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
totally.
saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I think that's why I think what part of our message is let's at least find common ground.
Right.
You might not have to believe that the earth is flat for us to get along.
Right.
We can find common ground, you
Yeah.
know? Like why do they hate America? That's kind of common ground.
Yeah. And it's super weird how like a lot of the younger generation and even some of the older people are on board with that. And like,
Well, the
hating the
brainwashing has
flag.
been their whole life
Yeah. And now they're all on board with communism. It's like, wait a second. Um, when has that ever worked out? Like
in
it
movies.
doesn't work out for people.
You know where I
There's a
notice?
few rich people at the top and the rest of the people are kind of screwed.
Think about how powerfully mind controlled by Hollywood a lot of people are.
Hmm.
And have you ever like lately watched a movie? America is always
The bad guy.
portrayed as this evil, corrupt empire.
Yeah. Oh yeah, their whole thing that they're teaching kids now too is capitalism is bad.
Yeah.
Capitalism. So it's like, okay, you're watching this show on your big screen, flat screen TV. You're, on your super expensive iPhone and you have all this stuff, yet you think capitalism is bad. So it's like basically capitalism is only bad if, you're not like
They
Bill
don't want
Gates or Jeff
regulated.
Bezos.
They
You
don't
know what I
want
mean?
regulated
They
capitalism.
don't think they're bad.
Yeah, because if we regulated capitalism the way it's supposed to be regulated, there would be no Jeff Bezos, there would be no Zuckerbergs, because they're allowed to monopoly. That's not supposed to be allowed. We're supposed to have checks and balances against that. So that's why they've been able to paint capitalism into like a bad corner because they're like, well, look at what it's breeded. But it wasn't supposed to be like that.
But they're all reaping the benefits of it and they're all enjoying it and they all want to be rich. Like all these these YouTubers are putting out these messages to kids that like they like flash all their flashy like Gucci and Louis Vuitton, and they've got all this flashy stuff that they're kind of like basically training kids who watch it that you got to have all this money and stuff. And where does that come from? These
Capitalism.
right.
You know what's like the wet dream of a lot of these like megalomaniac psychopaths,
Mm-hmm.
which is there's a lot of them.
There's a lot.
I think they have wet dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Like they wake up and their bed is all wet. And why? Because they want to make a bunch of money off the capitalist system and then close it down and be like a feudal lord.
Yeah, they want to monopolize it. They want to be the
They
only capitalists.
they want to have all the money and all the power
Hmm.
and they want to lord over everybody.
Right.
That's important to them.
That's a really good point. I think.
Because I kind of see that like dynamic kind of popping up a lot.
Yeah,
It's like, no, 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 I'm Al Gore.
I can be the capitalist. I can have all the money, but you can't.
It's like, Al Gore, why do you take private jets to a global? What do we call it now? It's Earth
Earth,
Earth
it was
mod.
modification.
It's Earth
Earth
modification.
modification.
So yeah, so
Because they are modifying.
it's modified.
They're modifying the genes.
China caused like a bubble.
Yeah,
Now we're oblong.
yeah.
So Earth modification.
And all the dues and stuff. I mean, they
Yeah,
are doing some,
we are doing
and all the
dues
spraying,
and like what
the chemtrails.
geoengineering.
Yeah, it's
I
Earth modification.
It is Earth
They
modification.
like to call it something else.
They call it that thing that you're not allowed to talk about.
Yeah, we can't talk about that because YouTube
But Al
doesn't
Gore
like
goes
that.
to conferences that talk about that.
Yeah, the
And
Earth
he takes a
modification
private
conferences.
he takes a private jet to those
Yeah.
conferences. But and then you asking me, you say, but Al Gore, why do you go to those conferences specifically? But you take a private jet. He's like, I'm an important person. He's actually answered questions like that, and I have to go to these. I'm
So
an
it's
important
okay for
person.
me.
That's I think the megalomania. It's like, well, I get to be rich and have a lifestyle that you don't get to. And that's really I go to
It's
sleep at night.
okay.
I go to sleep at night going, oh, that's like gratifying to them at the end of the day. So I think that is kind of not American either.
No.
Because, America was always predicated on this kind of notion of like, remember like the pursuit of happiness?
Yeah.
You could go start a business, work hard, prosper, and have upward mobility. You could go from dust to rags to riches. Isn't that's the
That's
term?
it. But now it's like they almost want it to be sort of like a monarchy. They want to be like ruling over all of us little peasants. And,
That's important.
yeah, they don't like the
And you
idea
don't
that
ever,
people can
ever,
be
ever have
successful.
upward mobility.
No, no.
You're always there.
Because you might be successful and you might end up, having a happy life and making money and being able to buy things and do things. And
You don't want
they
that.
don't want that. They want
You're
to
kind of a
control you.
threat to them.
Hmm.
I think they're really insecure. You know,
Yeah,
they're like the dude in high school who's got the hot girlfriend, but you can tell she's not really into him.
right.
And so he's kind of knowing that she's on the outs.
Yeah.
And
And he's not really hot, but he like is a really good football player or something. So
yeah,
so he kind of has like,
he's leveraging that.
yeah, but she's like, ew,
She's kind of over it.
yeah.
She's kind of into the dude that's into Nirvana. And then, and he's like, I can't compete with that guy. And I think that's kind of the way I'm feeling like the cult is right now, is they're kind of insecure. Like you see all this like free-ish speech talk
Right.
coming out of the EU.
Hmm.
It seems like they're going, we need to immediately shut people up.
Right. And they're doing that. They're like arresting people for saying stuff that they don't like.
Yeah.
I just heard that that attorney that was totally fighting all the cooties fiasco stuff,
Yeah.
Reiner Fulrich.
Heard the guy, yeah.
Yeah, he is like going to jail for like a year and a half in Germany
Because
because they
he
didn't like what he was saying about the cooties like
mm,
5 years ago.
yeah, the other thing you're not allowed to talk about is like we're kind of a third world now. Like in Europe, they're kind of like inundated with like third world people.
You can't talk about these things, and they're changing the story like right in front of us, just like 1984.
Like
I
that's
mean,
what they
this
did
is
with
seriously like 1984.
you know who Tommy Robinson is?
No.
he's been on Alex and he's in the UK and he's always calling attention to like Muslim rape kings.
Oh,
And so he got arrested because they finally made a few arrests. Meanwhile, this huge Muslim rape gang probably was going on, they're saying, for like 25 years,
oh wow.
thousands of girls,
Ugh,
and so there wasn't seven dudes doing that. It was a whole bunch of people.
yeah.
But they finally made like seven arrests, and he goes up as they're getting perp walked into the jail, and he's asking them questions as a reporter and going, "How long did you rape white girls?" and stuff like that. And it was pretty funny, but he got arrested and put in jail, like solitary confinement for like a year and a half for
What?
that. Yeah,
That's insane.
I know, and that was years ago. I mean, 1984 has already been clamped down in the UK.
That's
It's
gnarly.
but,
So,
and you'll hear all the podcasters coming out there. They're like coloring inside the lines, but kind of like always hinting at the fact, like, we have to stay here. Like, well, there's nothing I could say. Like they showed that one pregnant lady getting arrested. Did you ever see that? That was gnarly, where the UK police just like bust into her house and she's like pregnant and there's like shoving her around, arresting her because she tried to have a Facebook group meeting. She tried to set up like a, it was against the cooties, of course.
right.
It was against the cooties. So she tried to, because remember they were trying to bring the cooties back. It was
Yeah.
starting to dissipate. They
Yeah.
were really making a push to get back in your homes, wear your masks,
And
and
shut up.
get your stabbies and
And shut
shut
up.
up. Shut up is the number one rule. Have you ever noticed like that we got to just always remember that. Whenever there's a rule,
The
first
first thing
rule
is
is shut
shut
up.
up.
Then after that, as a matter of fact, the rest of the rules don't really matter. I think that's why they hate America.
Yeah, because we
That's
won't shut up.
because you don't have to
There's
shut
some
up.
of us that won't shut up.
And you don't have to shut up.
Yeah,
I have freedom
they're
of
they're
speech.
trying to change that though. They're trying. I mean,
That's why I don't trust Trump.
yeah, totally.
He's the one going, whoa, you can't be talking about that one country from 1948.
But that's free speech, dude.
I
That's free speech.
and how can you not talk about that one country from 1948 when,
Especially when like they've been tied to a lot of stuff like
oh my God,
now like with the JFK files out, they all that stuff was redacted that was about them.
like,
So why is that?
don't talk about the fact that there was a coup and they've taken over our country since
And
1963
everything around that event that was redacted in those reports had like all that stuff was relating to
to that
that
country from
country.
1948 that you can't talk about, otherwise Trump gets mad at you.
Yeah.
That's
Why? Why
yeah.
does he care about that? That's what I want to know.
Well, he got like $100 million like donation from
Right.
that one lady
That we know of.
that we know of.
But
Of
there's
course.
probably other stuff too.
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
trust Trump any further than I can throw him.
his son-in-law is totally like part of that whole scene.
Jared, you know who
He's
Jared reminds me
gross.
of? Is he looks
He's
like,
like a little weasel.
have you ever seen The Omen 2?
Oh, totally.
He looks like
Yeah.
Sam Neill from The Omen 2.
Uh,
He kind of just reminds me of that guy. And that guy plays the Antichrist. And I can almost see like Jared being like, I'm the Antichrist.
yeah.
You know?
Gross.
He probably is. And then I think Trump's daughter, like, seems like the marriage is like one of those planned marriages. Like, remember Jane Eyre, or what was that one book where Pride and Prejudice,
Yeah.
where everything was like, oh, well, who's she gonna marry?
Yeah.
It
Totally.
sounds like it's one of those kind of like Camelot marriages.
Right. Well, his family, I guess his dad was like super good friends with, wasn't he like buddies with Netanyahu or one of those?
They seem kind of buddy buddy.
Yeah, they're just
Like
hanging.
Netanyahu was like right after he took office, like his first foreign leader was
I
Netanyahu. And
mean,
he's like, hey, I'm here just to make sure that you're gonna do what we're gonna do.
it's just so bizarre though. Like when they're trying to get rid of all of these things, these rights, and teaching everybody that communism is a good thing. I'm like, okay, are we trying to be like North Korea?
It's kind of
Like
a model.
it's kind of like they're heading in that direction. Like
Yeah.
like that's the extreme, you know what I mean? But it seems like
When
maybe
you kind of use
that's what they
that,
want.
when you kind of use that as like a litmus test, as like, okay, let's look at all the activity that's taking place and look at like in terms of the goal is cramming us into 15-minute cities and exterminating us.
and
and,
eating bugs.
and eating bugs.
And they have to do that in North Korea because they don't have enough food because scarcity.
Scarcity.
Did you know that
Meanwhile, Lil Kim is like 300 pounds.
did you know that there's all their soldiers are really tiny?
No, I
Did
didn't
you
know
know
that.
that? They're all like they're really small, like undersized men because of malnutrition,
Probably.
because of generations of like bad nutrition. They don't have enough food. But they probably have a ton of food. Look how fat Kim Jong-un is.
So lame. That's and see,
He wants it all for himself.
he's got like the perfect megalomania pathology, like psychopath gene.
Totally.
Because what does he do? He's like, I eat a lot,
Yeah.
but
I'm
you guys
fat.
are starving. Sorry.
Go eat your bugs.
But they kind of love
There's a
that.
rat running across the street. Looks like dinner.
Exactly. You guys fend for yourself over there. But well, I kind of noticed like that's like really soothing to those people.
Yeah, it's gross.
It's kind of like remember I was talking about Leo DiCaprio was allowed to use the N-word
Oh,
in
yeah.
that one movie. And he's like given carte blanche, and he probably really like when he goes to sleep at night, just goes, look at how important I am. I can do stuff that other white people can't.
Hmm.
I'm important. I think that's what megalomania is really all about. It's like
It's a power trip.
they're like, I'm important, and look at the data that supports how important I am.
So do you think like a lot of people have like a secret desire to have like some part of megalomania in their lives? I think that's what the 5 minutes of power is all about. If you can tell somebody to put your mask on or don't talk in here, even though other people are talking, I mean,
It
that,
could be the programming.
yeah.
Like all of the Netflix programming and stuff, like you got to kind of go, okay, so like take your typical walker, right? So if you just kind of unpack the walker and you just kind of like, what if you're able to like go and crunch the data and say, what has this walker been watching for the last five years? Okay, and it's been this. And you go, what is the behavior that is an outcropping of this? And I think that might be it.
Hmm.
You become kind of like a little megalomaniac, pathological control freak. I
Hmm.
think that's kind of what happens because it's a very common trait.
It is.
You're
It's
kind of
like,
a little psychopath.
well, this is, gosh, okay, epiphany.
Yes.
So they were saying that they hate America because they can't control everything and they train their followers to also hate America.
Yeah.
But so their followers actually, in some way, want to be little megalomaniacs too, in their own
Yeah.
small little way. So if they can tell somebody, put your mask on or whatever, then they're having a moment of megalomania.
They're like mini me.
Mini me,
They're
mini
like Larry
megalomaniacs.
Fink's mini me.
Yeah.
They're mini Larry Fink.
Yeah.
Like, remember Larry Fink was like, drive behavior,
Hmm.
and they're like, I can drive behavior.
I can drive behavior too.
Watch me.
Yeah, I can drive it for 2 seconds.
You only get 3 samples. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's driving behavior.
totally.
You only get 3 samples.
Yeah.
You've already had
So
your 3.
they're
I actually asked another lady.
monkey see, monkey do. They're seeing the megalomaniacs do it and they want to do it too in their own small little
That's
way.
so deep.
Yes.
Because check it out.
Yes.
Who's like the progenitor of all of the brainwashing? It's the cult.
Hmm.
And we've kind of deduced that the cult is characterized by um megalomaniac psychopaths,
Yeah.
which is kind of gnarly. So the cult is made up of megalomaniac psychopaths.
Yeah.
So they put out brainwashing that turns people into
Little
little
mini
megalomaniac,
maniacs.
mini meglos. They're mini
Mini
meglos.
meg.
That's what they are.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So I think that's a kind of a deep, like,
That's sort of a revelation. Yeah.
You're like, my gosh, so the people who are on the blue pill are going to act like little Larry Finks.
Yeah, totally.
And they're just going to walk around telling you what you can do.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that during the cooties fiasco.
Have you ever been told where you can stand? Oh my God, I hate
So
that.
gross.
Sir, can you stand over here? I don't like doing that. The other thing I don't like is you ever gone to In-N-Out and you're in the drive-through and the little like 19-year-old goes, sir, can you scoot up and we'll order up here? And I'm like, no, take my order right here. I don't want to like get told little micromanagement moves, especially on my day off. If
Yeah,
I have a job, I'm already getting micromanaged probably
I
40
know.
hours a week.
Yeah.
I don't want to get micromanaged in and out
But this
drive
is
through.
what they're all being trained to do.
Well, the kind of the society is being kind of like organized into a bunch of little micromanagement hoops that you have to jump through.
Hmm.
I think that's kind of another reason they hate America because right now they're like, get into our little system
Hmm.
because they can't really,
They can't they can't totally have complete control unless everybody is corralled into their little system.
and they're trying to get that in
That's what they're
place.
trying to get in place.
The social credit score, digital currency, that's how
That
they're going to do it.
that's what they want.
And we just have to not let them.
We have to not let them. If you go into a business that doesn't take cash, you tell them you're doing business elsewhere and you tell them why. It's okay if you want to use your card, but you have to have the option because once they get digital currency like in place for everything, that's it. They
And
can control whatever you do.
I think also what people need to do is know your rights.
Yeah.
Know your rights. So that if they come up and say, hey, you need to put on a mask, you could say, no, that violates my constitutional rights because I read that it does. You can't compel someone to use a medical device. That's like no informed consent and it goes against the Constitution. So I think that's another thing too, is I think most people, like you go talk to most Americans and you ask them, have you read the Bill of Rights? Have you read the Constitution? Have you read the Declaration of Independence? Probably not.
No.
I don't even think I have.
I used to have one
I
of the
know of them.
I have a little copy, a little tiny like pocket-sized copy of the Constitution.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, where did I get that? They were handing them out somewhere. One of those protests.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's why.
yeah.
Why do they hand them out at
So you know your
protests?
rights.
Because the other thing too is they can't make laws that are repugnant to the Constitution.
Hmm.
You don't have to follow a law that's repugnant to the Constitution, like in the highest court of the land. Now, they might put you in a jail
Yeah,
and not give you a speedy trial, and you'll just get J6'd for a long time.
I know that kind of sucks
That
because there's a
sucks.
lot of judges that go along with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I thought this was kind of an interesting topic. I wanted to just make sure that we kind of talked about why America is in the way.
Well, like what you were saying earlier is America is sort of the beacon of light for the rest of the world
Yeah,
because they say like if America falls, then so will everybody else.
will be one
Yeah,
big global communist prison.
yeah. So
I think we can fight it off.
and I think like it's our responsibility, um, Firefly and me, Butterfly,
Yeah.
along with other people to just not comply and not go along with these things.
Yeah.
That's
And
the
don't
way we
shut up.
that's the way we do it. We
Don't
don't shut
shut up.
up.
They really want you to.
Yeah.
Like if they were here, they would tell both of us, like, you guys shut
Shut
up
up.
right now. Maybe we should.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Good talking to you.
You too. Bye.
Bye.